until I hit my last breath. Music's everlasting even if past death. Not overacting, music's never past tense. Colliding with the greats, welcome to this crash test.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the BringTheBars podcast. We're going to be bringing Genesis on, MC Genesis. What a fun conversation I had with him. Very humble guy. I'm sure you're all going to really enjoy that episode. But before I started the episode, I actually wanted to run a little announcement. Well, somebody's going to tell you about it. It's an artist in part of BringTheBars by the name of Smudge D. He released an album a couple weeks back called The Independent Takeover that features a couple BTB artists, actually. One song features myself called Feeling Like We Made It, and another one features Kevin Jackson. So I'm going to let Smudge D tell you guys a little bit about it. And then after that, make sure you go check out his album. It's on all platforms, Spotify, all that fun stuff. So I'll let Smudge D let you guys know a little bit about it.
What's up, BTB family? I'm here promoting my album. This is Smudge D, and my new album's called The Independent Takeover. I got all kinds of great acts on this album. We got C12, J2E, KingCanada, Kevin Jackson, DJ Tunes, Z76. This is going to be the most lit album. You guys got to check it out. Follow me on Instagram at Smudge D Rap and Facebook at Smudge D at Facebook.com. Thanks a lot. Y'all be cool.
There you have it, Smudge D, talented guy, very humble guy as well. He's all about networking and bringing people up with him. So I really appreciate him for that. He's really good at what he does. And like I said, he's just a good person, all around great person that, you know, he helps you out. We help him out. Everybody gets together. Everybody rises up together. Well, now I'm going to bring on Genesis. So let's get the interview started. Let's welcome MC Genesis, or Genesis, artist and producer. Let's bring him on. All right, guys, we're here for another episode of BringTheBars podcast. This is episode 45, and I'm joined by producer and all-around artist, Genesis. How you doing, man?
What up, y'all? How you doing, man?
Not bad at all, not bad. So to kick this off, usually you're a new guest on this show. Just let everybody know a little bit about what you do and where they can find your music and beats.
I am a rapper producer. I've been mostly doing producing now for the last year and a half. You can find all my beats that I make on genesisbeats.com. I also have a bunch of albums of mine on all streaming platforms. I go by MC Genesis. My last project I dropped was called From the Ashes, probably like 2018 area. Definitely my best work. I mixed the whole project myself and mastered it.
Nice.
I didn't really get into producing myself till like a little bit afterwards, and sadly those are also on streaming platforms, but I didn't have the masters of my stuff to send you for the radio show today. But yeah, man, you can check all my music out on Spotify, Apple Music, all that.
Yeah, everybody's definitely got to check out genesisbeats.com as well. You make fire beats and amazing deals and custom beats. Yeah, so I got one off you, and we absolutely loved it for the BTB record site.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to hear that. I heard a little preview from Sprite. It's going to sound real dope.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. So let's start at the beginning. You growing up, what kind of music played around you growing up? What were your influences?
Man, so like as a kid, my dad mostly listened to like oldies rock, like Beatles, Beach Boys, you know, all the rock stations. He did construction, so in the summers I would help him, and that's what we mainly listened to. I didn't really get into hip hop till I was about like 5th grade, probably. I grew up in a really hick town, let me put it that way, and so there wasn't a lot of hip hop being played, or I wasn't being exposed to it at a very young age. But then when I first heard it, I was man, I want to say it was Ice Cube. It was like the first rap song I heard. And I was like, what is this? And then I got deeper into it. And then I heard Nas's Illmatic. And that's immediately fell in love with hip hop. So I always try to like, my main style of beats that I love to make is that like golden age, boom bap type stuff, but like more modern, you know, like add some modern elements to it. So it doesn't sound dated, but it still has that feel.
Yeah, it's funny with a lot of people.
Vibes, man.
Funny with a lot of people I talk to in this doing this podcast. This is episode 45 now, and even myself, I think a lot of us grew up on classic rock, really.
Right.
And it kind of transitioned to hip hop when we heard it in, you know, like 10 to 13 years old, hearing it the first time, going, like you said, what the hell is this? Like,
yeah.
But
man, I wish I remember the Ice Cube song, because it was like one of his more like ridiculous, like, holy crap, what are you saying? And then you go back and you listen to like his NWA stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. But it was one of his like, it was like early 2000s when I heard the first record from him. But yeah. And then I was a huge Limp Bizkit fan. What's that?
That's a great artist to start off with.
Right. But then my aunt exposed me to Limp Bizkit at a very young age, and she would always, my parents let me get the explicit record, so she would always burn me an explicit copy. And then, you know, that I know they're more rock, but they had that hip hop element to it, and I just love that. Yeah.
I was in my Limp Bizkit phase as well. I'm a massive fan of Linkin Park.
We all had to go through it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So when you were rapping first before you were producing, what made you take that step into actually recording yourself? A lot of people think about it. What pushed you to actually go, you know what, I'm going to get in the booth?
So I started writing, like, I wouldn't call it raps. It was more like poetry kind of stuff. Very young, like 6th grade. Didn't show anyone any of my work. It kind of was like a personal thing, right? And then I was in high school, and when, you know, you go to these parties and stuff, and then like somebody would be playing a beat and someone would be like, oh, Andy, rap. And so like I like kick a written, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, that's dope. But I didn't really start recording myself till after I graduated high school. Linked up with a dude who lived like a town over. He was working with some rappers already, and, you know, I was never really around a lot of rappers. So got me in the studio with them, and I recorded some stuff, and let me say it was probably really awful, because we were like, man, we were in a closet with a microphone hanging over like the hanger rack. Yeah. And, you know, we didn't know the concept of mixing. You know, none of that stuff. So it was super, super raw, but I also got my feet wet. But then I was about like 20 years old, and I moved up to Minneapolis. I did a little like online schooling. It was they made you an intern for a recording studio.
Okay.
So I went into the studio. God, I can't remember that. Winterland Studios, I think it was called. They had like Dave Matthews there, Atmosphere, did a couple records there and stuff. So it was a good experience. I was a bonehead though in my young 20s, and I didn't really take it very seriously. It was kind of my excuse to move out to Minneapolis, right? And I was living with a few homies, and then the homie I was living with was like my producer, and I recorded mostly with him, and that's when I really, really got into it. And then I did a bunch of shows in Minneapolis and stuff. It was an amazing experience. Ended up moving back, and then that's when I started recording myself more. Yeah. And that's when I would like, me and the other homie who was recording me kind of had a falling out. So I learned to do everything myself. Obviously, I would like go buy my beats from somebody, but I recorded, I mixed everything, and I'd send it out to get mastered. And then I did got involved in this show circuit here in Wisconsin, and I did probably almost like 100 shows a year for a couple of years.
Oh, nice.
Honestly, it kind of like burnt me out. And then had my daughter. She's gonna be 3 in November, but had my daughter, and that's kind of when I took a step back. Live with my fiance now. She has 2 little boys too, so it's really hard to record. Yeah. So I'm like, how can I stay involved with the music? And like, I was making beats here and there, but then I finally just made the investment and bought an MPC, got the software, and just like dove headfirst into that. And I've been making beats every day since, you know, like, and I love it. It's an amazing, like, music to me is an outlet. Yeah. Like a release. So I don't even care necessarily if I sell stuff, but like just be able to like put a record together. Like that's what I love doing.
Yeah. So it was pretty much just a normal transition for you. Family definitely comes into play.
Yeah. And it was a real easy learning stuff because I run Pro Tools for my recording program. Yeah. And the MPC software is like super compatible with it. So like it made it really, really simple once I got the hang of the pads and everything like that. But yeah.
Yeah. What would you find like the difference, like the biggest challenges compared to recording to producing?
So mixing vocals compared to mixing a beat is very different because you got all the separate stems of every instrument.
Yeah.
So that was a learning curve. That was a hard learning curve. It was a lot of YouTube tutorials. It was a lot of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, like I had to self-teach myself, and I just got myself into it was mostly Instagram. I found a producer community, and they always were like giving out tips and like videos and stuff like that. So that's how I learned real fast. Was getting involved with them, like asking them for tips. Homie producer from Milwaukee actually is one that recommended me the MPC that I have. He's like a amazing finger drummer. He actually is, I think he just got invited to play for the Bucks every game. So that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, man, beats are my thing right now. I mean, I always have plans to go back and start rapping again, but like, I'm just in a really, really comfortable space, and it's kind of like open new doors for me, you know?
Yeah. And when you started it off, like what kind of sound would you say you had when you started off producing beats, and how has it grown now over the year? You're very versatile now, but you must have started with a specific sound.
So I was making more, when I first started making music, it was more like trappy, not like super trap, like had a lot of trap elements to it. And the only reason I started making like that is because I know people love that, especially in like this era we're in. It's like they want those sounds. And then it wasn't until it was shortly after I had the MPC, and I was like finally comfortable making, like pushing out beats. And I was just watching this video of this producer, and he's like, man, like all he makes right now is like soulful boom bap kind of sounds. And he like started off kind of the same way I did, trap stuff. And then he's just like, you know what? I hated making it after a point, you know, like just sticking to trap sounds and not really like having a versatility. So he just went on to straight boom bap, and he gained an enormous like core following of artists and everything that messed with him. So I was like, and I took that to heart. So like lately I went on a kick of banging out more like soulful boom bap kind of styles, because I feel like you can't keep chasing that hit. You know what I mean? Like that's what I feel a lot of people are doing with these trap beats, is they get them and think, oh, we're gonna make this a hit, we're gonna blow up. Like, dude, you gotta stay true to, you gotta make something with content, something that like connects to someone. That's always been important to me. So
yeah, especially like the soulful you were saying, that's a big part in a lot of people's music, when they have to find a beat that's trying to match the story they want to say, especially an underground artist compared to just a trap beat. Exactly. You need to match the artist. And
I don't know, like my favorite parts of like albums are like the B-side records people consider the ones that are like real, you know what I mean? Like I was connected to that way more. So that's kind of where I get my sound from.
And you do a lot of like custom, like when I reached out to you to do the custom for the Cypher, what do you like to, if somebody wants to hit you up for a custom beat, what would you like them, how to explain the type of beat they want? You want to be like, oh, I want like an Eminem beat, or you want them to tell you more about like what the song's about?
Right. It really depends. So if you have like a vibe in your mind, like if you already have something kind of written or something kind of ready, like I'll be like, what's the vibe of your record? I'll go off that, and then I'll send them something like, oh, how does this sounding? If they want me to switch it, I'll switch it. If they're like, oh no, trash that one, start over. Like, you know, I'm really open. I had a lot of people hit me up for like, hey, can I get an Eminem record? But like, what's an Eminem record? You know, like that
exactly.
for everything.
The guy uses so, like 20 different producers.
Right. So it's like, and it's like, that's no disrespect to Eminem, like illest of all time, one of the illest of all time. But it's like, so like I like you to get specific, like, oh, I want you to use this kind of instrument, like I want like a really heavy guitar, like a cool like acoustic or something like that. I'll go play off that, and I'll build around an acoustic like sample or acoustic loop that I make or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the most challenging, shout out to Doja Modi, we got a few records together, and he really pushed me to step out of my like hip hop box.
Okay.
We got some reggae records. We got some like island vibe records. They're still like, I was like, damn, okay, I can do that. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really, really excited for that. So like, I like artists that like want to like kind of challenge me almost too, because that makes me want to like invest more myself into the beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Doja's definitely a unique artist. You worked with Chronos, myself. You worked a lot with Mally, Jumpin' Joe.
Yeah.
We got one of them have their own different sounds, right? Like, must be interesting.
No, it is interesting because, and shout out to Mally too and Joe. I got a bunch of records on the new Mono project that's going to drop shortly. But me and Mally actually have a whole LP in the works.
Oh, and, nice.
He really challenged me to make super West Coast vibes with synths and all that stuff. So I'm really, really excited for people to hear that one. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mr. Smash Every Blazing Record, CEO of the PMCENT Network, and today I am here on behalf of BringTheBars Records to inform you all that if you haven't already heard, they have a new website that is available for you to go and view today. The website is www.pmcentnetwork.com/BringTheBars. On this website, you guys can check out all their YouTube content. You guys can get a full list of all the current members signed to BTB Records and also read up on their biographies. You guys will get Spotify playlists and a whole lot more. So go and check it out. Also, while you're at it, please visit the Google Play Store if you have an Android device to download the PMCENT Network app. Available for only $2.99 in the Google Play Store. You guys can get it right now. We offer a whole lot of content, exclusive content. We offer game shows and a whole lot more. So you guys go and check it out. PMCENT Network app in the Google Play Store for Android devices. Now, back to more of BTB programming.
And we're going to hit a segment of the show that I usually do halfway through. I've done it before, but it would be called like Rate the Bars. So what I would do is I would name an artist to the guest and I would get them to rate what they think of their bars from 1 to 10 and why. But for you, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to name off some producers to you. And I want you to name what you'd rate that producer in general and why you'd give them that rating. And first one I want to start off with you is Kanye West as a producer.
10, 12. Man, like the dude's a genius. Like I was in love with his production on like Graduation and even My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Like I may so not like him as like an artist as much as I do.
I agree.
You have to respect his producing skills. Yeah. And like he changed the whole face of music with his production. So like I gotta give him a 10.
I agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of him, like his rapping. I'm just, it's not really my style, but the production always just right on point. You nailed that on the head.
Yeah.
Next one is Timberland.
GOAT. He's another legend. I gotta give him a 10 too, man. He produced some of the biggest hip hop records you can think of. Him and Missy, like, ooh. Him and Aaliyah, like, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta give Dirt Off Your Shoulder from Jay-Z is one of my favorite.
Man, that dude's worked with everyone.
Yeah. And what about Just Blaze?
Just Blaze is another one, man. I would, if I'm going to hold it to a real standard, I give him like an 8 or a 9. I love his beats, love his production. I just feel like those guys we mentioned before got a little bit of an upper hand as far as like their credits and like what they've done for music. But like, don't get me wrong, like, dude is amazing. He's even crazier on an MPC. So it's like, so I have utmost respect for Just Blaze, but yeah.
And we're going to go now with DJ Khaled.
I'm probably going to get hated on for this. But I give him like a 6. Just because he doesn't really produce. He's more of like, he gets all the artists that you never would expect to collaborate. Like all these producers and artists in a room and they make stuff. He's like a Puffy. He's like an executive producer. He's not really like, you know, hitting machines and like making the sounds. So yeah, I've given him like a 6.
And he's got to throw his voice on every track he makes.
Oh yeah. Of course.
And last one of my favorites is Dr. Dre.
I rank him. He's my favorite. Besides DJ Premier, he's like my favorite producer of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's not much you have to really say. You know, like it's Dr. Dre, The Chronic 2001, Eminem, 50, you know, like all those
non-stop
guys.
For how many years?
He was, for a good 20 years, that was all you could like. You couldn't not work with Dr. Dre.
What would be like your dream person to work alongside? We were mentioning Dr. Dre and DJ Premier, but like to just learn off of and work with, who would be your dream guy to just sit beside right now and do a beat with?
Man, Premier would be a lifelong dream. To hear him scratch over a beat I made or something would be like a dream. But I know he's also a technician on the MPC when he's chopping his samples and stuff. And I've been trying to get more into like the sampling side of like finding old records and finding dope things to sample. And it's an art, man. Like I know people hate on sampling, but like if you can do it the right way, like it's a sound that nothing else will match to, you know what I mean? And he is by far my favorite producer. And you know, you heard the Prime Project with him and Royce, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like him and Royce are like, he's my favorite MC, he's my favorite producer. So like it was like a match made in heaven to me. So I was really excited about that. Yeah.
And you're talking about even like the scratching. You don't hear that a lot, I find.
No, man.
Jazzy Jeff come to mind. That's turntable scratching sound. Man, I just love that sound.
You know, yeah. Especially, you ever heard of Snow Goons?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like man, when I first discovered underground hip hop back in like high school, like having those scratches on every hook and everything like that was everything to me.
That was my whole style in high school, man. Army of the Pharaohs, Snow Goons, Jedi Mind Tricks.
Yep.
That brings me to another producer actually just popped in my head is C Lance, who is making big waves now.
He's a monster too, dude. He's working with all those underground legends.
Yeah.
Like utmost respect for him. It's definitely that grimy, hard hitting. I heard he's got a bunch of stuff coming with Ritz too, which is super dope. Yeah. And then you're out in Canada, right?
Yeah, Mercules.
Yeah. So yeah, he's done a lot of stuff with Merc. Yeah, and all them up there. So yeah, so
his new track actually, have you heard it with the game that Mercules just did?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's a dope track for sure. What would, for you personally, what's one thing you want to improve on the most going forward and with your producing that you're constantly trying to improve on?
I am constantly trying to elevate my mixing, and it's not so far as like overall sound, but finding a technique where I can where you hear a beat and you be like, oh, that's a Genesis beat. You know what I mean? You don't need to hear my tag. You don't need to hear nothing. So I'm really trying to develop my own sound. It's a process. I know it's going to be a process, but I think I have what in my mind exactly what I'm going for. So it's just about, delivering it, and I'm working at it every day to do it. But I really just love being challenged, man. So I hope I get more people hit me up for really crazy stuff that I don't usually normally make. Sprite, I'm working with Sprite pretty heavy right now, and she wants me to do a UK grime kind of style. It is kind of that trap element, but it's different. So I'm really trying to learn and get that in my head too,
Yeah, it must be nice when custom, because they kind of give you an idea. Like you said with Doja, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. But you also just make beats you put just on your website. It wasn't a custom beat, you make them. What strikes in your head to from no sound to just go out there and make this sound?
It can be numerous things. Sometimes I'll get a new drum kit and I'll start playing my pads and I'll come up with a drum loop and then I'll just build around that, or it's I find a really basic loop and I'll just start building around that sound, and all kind of goes on what I'm vibing with at that moment. I don't try to overthink it at all. So on days where I'm completely brain dead, not being very creative, I'll just step away.
Yeah,
just take a minute until I get some more an idea, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's do this. So,
yeah, and incorporating a lot of instruments into producing as well, especially hip hop, very drum heavy, piano heavy, guitar. What's one instrument? I don't know what instruments you know how to play or if any, but one you would just love to learn how to play to incorporate into your beats.
So right now I'm learning to play piano.
Nice.
I love piano sound on chords and stuff like that, and the MPC, you can see how everything's set up. So it's been easy so far, but I really want to learn how to play so I can come up with my own, I can just play in the keyboard and come up with a whole loop. You know what I'm saying? There's a few dudes that I know that are getting huge placements. There's a dude, shout out to K1, he's out in Milwaukee. He's produced for Kanye. He's produced for Rick Ross.
Nice.
He makes sample packs. So he comes up with his own compositions, and he doesn't know how to play piano. He just notes the chords and just makes like this incredible stuff. So I've been really trying to study him because I think once you just get the core idea down, it's just something you can just learn as you go. So I'm really, really, really trying to get my head dive deep into that. But
yeah, piano is a great
process. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's a great instrument for sure. That it's just beautiful sound with the hip hop beat.
Yeah. Man, like pianos and strings, like he makes a powerful stuff with that.
And, you probably heard of the producer. You've heard of Seven, the producer. Seven? And he's very unique. I saw a thing on him behind the scenes, and he uses like the weirdest sounds, like an old toy or something. What's something weird that you might have heard, like a Foley sound that you have incorporated into a beat of yours?
So I did have a beat recently. It was the toilet running. You think it sounds like really like what, but like you mute it and you kind of spread it in the background, and it just sounds very ambient. And I actually sent the beat, and no one said a word to me that I sent it to. So
awesome.
Like, man, this is a vibe. I'm like, yeah, it is.
I love when I hear those stories of these unique sounds no one would ever think. But a producer's mind, like you, like I'm not a producer, so I don't get how your mind works with that, and it blows me away. How you hear that, and you're just like, I'll add that into the ambient sound. That's very creative.
Learned. I was very like hard-headed when I first came into it. Like I was like, I want these sounds only, and then you'd hear some like really crazy ambient synths, and you're like, what the hell is this? But I grew to be like, oh, that's just another element you can add to give it some depth. And once you start learning all that, it was like sky's the limit. Like I love working with synths too. You can get really, really crazy, really grimy sounds from synths just playing with them. So synths and pianos are probably my favorite to play with.
Nice. And everybody in this group, especially you yourself, we're all independent artists, right? We do everything, even when you're rapping, from the recording to the mixing, promoting, doing this, doing that. What's your favorite part of the whole process, from starting something from scratch to finish? And what's your least favorite part of the whole process?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously creating it is my favorite product. Like not even having a finished product, just like the recording, the making, the producing. And like what I love to do is I'm actually working on a whole album with a Christian rapper from the West Coast, and made all custom beats, and I'm going to mix and master it for him. So, and what I've been doing is now I can go into those individual elements and tweak or add something to like his vocals, and it adds that, that whole depth. I love that. I love like hearing like new ideas just pop in my mind and then works. You know what I mean? Yeah. My least favorite part is promoting.
Yeah, I think that's number one for a lot.
I will admit, like, shouts to you first and foremost, because if I went to find your group, I wouldn't have worked with half the artists that I'm working with now. You know what I mean? Like, I met so many guys, like really dope artists through this group. So like, I don't really post anywhere on Facebook besides the B2B group. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even make my own posts. I just post in the B2B or BTB, sorry. Because y'all are the only ones that seem to pay attention most of the time. You know what I mean? You know, there's a few others, but like IG and the BTB group are the only place I promote my beats, really.
Yeah, it's incredible what the group has turned into when I first started on my goal for it. And even me collaborating. I've collaborated now with, over 20, 30 artists now. It's insane. It's definitely a group to check out for everybody listening. If you're an artist yourself.
Yeah, definitely, man. It really changed. Like, I don't even make this about money, but like I've sold and made more money in the last year since being in the group than I ever did rapping. So like, it's saying something, man. Like they're a really good crew in there, and they're always supporting each other, and like that's what I love to see. And like, shout out to you guys. I see you guys as you and Otis's Spotify numbers, man. Like, dang.
Yeah, pushing the hell out of that. Now Automatic's album dropped, and we've been pushing that. It's crazy how it all started, I think, with literally a cipher, and it built it up to this group, to now BTB Records, to meeting you, all these producers now, because we didn't have any producers to start off in the group. And now we got you, Misfit. I think there's a couple others in there, but yeah, it's crazy. And I like hearing your stories about how everything. Yeah, and I like hearing your story from you know, getting work from the group. That just makes me happy, because it's what the group was intended to be, for sure.
Right.
And we talked a lot about Genesis as the artist. I want to talk to you a little bit as like a person. So like outside of music, what's important to you? What are your hobbies outside of music?
I got an amazing fiance. I got 2-year-old daughter, like I said, which is ours, and then she has 2 little boys too. They're actually, it's my boy's birthday today.
Just tell him I said happy birthday.
They're at their dad's right now, and they're gonna come home. We're gonna celebrate. So I'm really looking forward to that. Man, family's everything to me. I don't work a really amazing job, so like, I just pour my life into my family and my music, man. That's all it is. Yeah.
Same here. You nailed what my answer would be, right on the head, man.
Yeah.
I think it's the most important thing. What does your family think of your music and your whole venture into producing?
Man, my fiance is my biggest supporter. I used to, as I was making beats, before I would bounce them down, I'd have my daughter come and listen to it. She danced to them. I knew it was good enough.
So they're good at giving you the pointers and the critiques.
Yeah.
The good thing about kids is they're honest.
My fiance is probably, if not the same, bigger hip hop head than I am. So she knows what to listen to. So
that's nice. Yeah. Have she heard any of your old raps as well? As your kids heard any of your raps? My 2018 album, From the Ashes, she actually did the cover art for it. Oh, nice.
And then she's a photographer. So she did like all my promo pics, you know, pictures at shows, all that stuff. So yeah.
Awesome, man. That's nice to hear. Family is the most important thing, for sure.
Definitely.
And this is a question I like asking the guests. It was actually posted a couple months ago, but Scotty G in the group posted this question one time. And I really liked his question was, well, what do you consider like success for yourself? If you look back, let's say 20 years from now, what would you consider a success either in your music or life?
That's a deep question, man. Honestly, I never got into music to be like rich and famous, you know what I mean? Obviously I would love to be able to like live off, you know, make this like my main source of income. I know I got a ways to go. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I would just like it to be where I reach the people who need it, man. Like I get messages from a lot of people like, man, I just listen to your beats sometimes, and then they're like, it just puts me in a vibe, and I'm like, yo, that's amazing. Like like, yeah, you know, you produce for a record for artists to love, but like just getting that from like a fan of music is like, I love that. Like, yeah, and it's crazy to think when you I'm not expecting to be a millionaire off this, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I just want to work with as many creatives that are willing to work with me, really. Like that's success in my eyes. I feel like I am very successful right now, but I also know I have a lot to learn, and like how much doper the sounds are going to get as I'm learning. So I'm just really excited for that, honestly.
Yeah, man.
I feel like success isn't a destination, man. It's part of the process. So you're going to get a lot of successes. You're going to get a lot of losses or lessons, like I like to call them. But, you know, you just got to keep learning from it. And
yeah, perfect answer.
Right. If you just settle on being successful, then you go stagnant. And I don't want to be that, you know?
Yeah. And it's crazy to think of you being a producer as, you know, you wanted to reach people and stuff. Also, what you do, like if I go on your website here, you bring the creativity out of me. So you're bringing creative aspects out of other people. That's pretty cool.
That's honestly why I made it producing like so much easier, because I was going to websites and listening to beats and like just hearing a sound would inspire a whole 16, you know what I mean? Like it would, there's a whole idea that you never thought of before. That's also why so a lot of producers are doing like lease options and stuff. And I always like no disrespect to the guys that do that. I understand why they do that. But like from like an artist perspective, I hated knowing that I could lease this beat, but so could 100 other people have the same beat. And I've come across that as an artist myself, where I had this record and I thought it was amazing. And then I found the same exact beat with another dude. And it's just like, oh man, that sucks. So that's why I like all my beats are exclusive rights. So you buy it, you own it. No one else is going to have it. And I tried to price them at a good pricing point because I know a lot of producers, even a year ago, I spent $3,000 on a whole album of beats.
Yeah.
And I never used them. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to make people go broke just so they can buy a beat. So like, here, take this for $80. And I know you're going to keep coming back because you like the sound and I'm willing to work with you. So like, I like, it's all about customer service to me, man. Like if you can connect with the artists and stuff like that, you can make magic. You know what I mean? So,
and you got it. Like you're willing also, you bring a lot of discount deals all the time, especially to the BTB members. And, you know, you're an independent artist yourself and you feel the grind of everybody else. You're not going to gouge them for hundreds and hundreds. You're providing something very affordable, man. And I commend that.
I appreciate that, man.
But we are out of time for this interview, man. I want to thank you for coming on. GenesisBeats.com. Everybody check that out. You definitely won't be disappointed. Hit you up on what's your Instagram, Facebook?
My Instagram is Genesis_920. You can find me on Facebook at just Genesis. I'm mostly active on Instagram. Trying to get more on TikTok. So I don't really
I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah. But yeah, check out all my music too, man. Like streams mean a lot that people are still willing to listen. From the Ashes is out on all streaming platforms. I also got 2 other singles that are also available on all platforms. And shout out to every single artist in this group that I've worked with, because without you guys, I don't know what I would be doing right now. So you guys keep me busy and I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on this interview. It means a lot, man.
No problem. Appreciation's all right back to you, man. Appreciate you a lot. And thanks for coming on to do this.
Yes, sir.